Hello guys, it's your girl Maria and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, you're going to focus on the research methodology module. We are going to discuss about the gaps in literature review. So our learning objectives is to define what research gap, discuss the 7 gaps of literature review and also the uses of research gaps. Now, to define what research gap is, we're saying that it's a key problem or a question that has not been answered by any of the existing studies within your area of research. So it's basically just the unresolved problem in a field reflecting a lack of existing research. So the looking into the 7 gaps of research, we're saying that the research gaps are organized and classified based on their usefulness. So the first one, which is evidence, knowledge, practical knowledge, methodology, empirical, theoretical, and the last one, which is population gap. Now, focusing into the evidence gap, you're saying that it is known as the contradictory evidence gap. So, contradictory simply means that mutually opposed or inconsistent. So, it is caused by inconsistencies in previous research finding. Startling exception creates an evidence gap when a new research finding contradicts and arises when study data allow for conclusions in and of themselves but are contradictory when considered from a more abstract perspective. So just to say in simple terms that evidence gap occurs with a proactive exception arising in a new research finding contradicts widely accepted conclusions. So the second one, which is the knowledge gap, which is also known as the knowledge void gap. Knowledge void, just to say that understanding that something in existing, right, conceptual network is missing. So it is a common gap in previous research and two conditions in which a knowledge void might exist are number one, we're saying that it's possible that the actual field lacks an understanding of theories and literature from related research fields. And number two, we're saying that it's possible that a study's findings are different from what was predicted, right? So this this knowledge gap, we are saying that the knowledge may not exist in an actual field or of theories to say and literature from related research domains, right? So, and the other thing to say that it might be the case that the results of the study differ from what was expected, right? So, moving on to the third one, which is the practical knowledge conflict gap, which is also known as the conflict gap action knowledge conflict gap. So it serves as an aspiration for new research in the field, and when an expert behaves differently than what they propose, a practical knowledge or action knowledge conflict results. So the purpose of the research might be to determine the scope of conflict and its causes. So, just to say that in this case, the research could seek to determine the scope of the conflict and uncover the reasons, for example, for its existence, right? Now, moving on to the fourth one, which is empirical gap, which is also known as the evaluation void gap. So it addresses gaps in previous research, relates to study conclusions or claims that need to be assessed. So it expressed concerns, right, that no study has clearly attempted to examine a subject or topic from an empirical method and are frequently addressed by the empirical gap. So let's say, for example, the empirical gap often addresses conflict that no study to date has directly attempted to evaluate a subject, for example, or a topic from an empirical approach, right? So the fifth one, which is theoretical gap. Now, the theoretical gap, it is known as the theory application void gap. So it deals with the gaps between theory and earlier research. So it expresses a gap conflict that might exist in different theoretical models and are being used to describe the same fact or phenomena, much like a methodological gap. So this theoretical gap, just to say that these theoretical gaps are very common and occurrence in examining prior such of a phenomenon. So the scholars could evaluate which of those theories is more superior in terms of a gap in the existing body of knowledge, right? So when analyzing previous research on a phenomenon or fact, theoretical gaps are frequently used. The the sixth one we are saying that is methodological gap. So the methodological gap, we are saying that it is known as the methodology void gap. So it addresses the contradiction that arises as a result of the methodology's influence on study findings. So it examines the issues with the research methodologies used in the earlier studies and presents a brand new research direction that deviates from those research methods. So it's just to say that how do I say in a layman's language to say that let's say the this gap focuses more on addressing the conflicts with the research methods in the prior studies, right? So and offers a new line of research that is divergent, yeah, divergent from those research methods, right? So the next one is the population gap. Now, onto the population gap, we're saying that it is also known as under researched subgroups gap and populations that are underserved and understudied. So, population related research populations such as gender, race, and age that is either not well represented in the evidence base or is under researched, right? So just to say that this gap is the type of research regarding the population that is not adequately represented, just like I said, or under researched in the evidence base, or to say prior research, right? So like their ethnicity or age and race and all that. Now, looking into the types of research gaps and their usefulness. So, number one, to talk about the evidence gap, it is used when study results are incongruent. Now, incongruent is just to say not suitable and do not support conclusions in their own right, if seen from a more abstract perspective. Now, knowledge gap, we are saying that it is used when the desired research results are not available. The practical knowledge conflict gap, we're saying that professional behavior or procedures differ from research conclusions or are not investigated by research. Empirical gap, it is used when empirical testing of research conclusions or hypotheses is required. Theoretical gap, you're saying that to develop new insight, theory should be applied to specific research problems, and a gap exists because there's a lack of theory, right? So methodological gap, we are saying that it is used when vital It is vital to use a variety of research methods to produce new insights or to prevent inconsistent results. And the last one, which is population gap, it is used when research pertaining to the population that is not sufficiently represented or under researched in the evidence based or earlier research. So that was pretty much it, guys. And don't forget to share, comment, like, also subscribe if you're new to this channel, and also hit the notification bell for more videos like this. With that being said, guys, bye. Ugh, I'm so exhausted.